Okay, so in the last class, we were talking about working capital management. In the last class, we were talking about working capital management. So first of all, we have to understand what is working capital. So working capital is current asset minus current liabilities. This is actually net working capital, but for the purpose, for in generally speaking, working capital. This is what we mean when we talk about working capital. Okay, actually, this is net working capital, but these are synonyms. These are used interchangeably throughout. Okay, so this was the first part of the topic in which we talked about current asset, current liabilities, and we talked about operating cycle. Okay, then we started to talk about ratio analysis. This chapter, this unit, okay, this unit, we are going to cover 5 topics in this unit. Okay, first is ratio, second is working capital management, and third is working capital management, and third is what do you say, fund flow. This we are going to study in detail. This we are going to study in less detail as compared to ratio. And this just we will just get an overview. What is fund flow? We are going to solve 1 or 2 questions, and this is your unit fifth. Okay, so I'm starting with the ratio. I have a PPT of ratio analysis. I'll just go to the PPTs and we'll solve some questions. If you guys have any problems, you can ask me after the time. Okay, chaliye. This is my PPT. Yes, financial statement and ratio analysis. All right. Now, what is financial analysis? Okay, you have prepared the balance sheet and P&L of a company. Now you have 2 companies and you want to compare which company is performing better or which company is going to perform better in the future. But you are an investor and you want to invest your funds in the company. So you want to assess the companies and you want to identify which of the company is better amongst those the available options. Okay, so it is assessment of firms past, present, and future financial condition done to find firms financial strength and weaknesses. Primary tools, financial statements, and comparison of financial ratio to past industry sector and all firms. Okay, we'll compare the ratio of the business. For example, if I take an example, if we are talking about, okay, if I'm talking about 2 companies, that is Reliance Industry Limited and Airtel. These are the 2 companies that I'm talking about. Okay, now if I want to compare between these 2 companies, I'll use ratio analysis. Okay, and if I want to compare between these 2 companies and all other companies of the same industry, if I'm talking about telecom sector, okay, if I'm telling about telecom sector, so we'll calculate we'll compare Reliance Industries performance with the performance of the telecom sector. We'll compare Airtel's performance with the performance of the telecom sector of India. Okay, so that we know whether our company is performing well or our company is not performing so well. Okay, all right. So now, what are financial statements? Of course, I hope you all of you know this. The balance sheet, the P&L, income statement or P&L, same thing, cash flow and statement of retained earning. Now, what is the objective of ratio analysis? Okay, what is the objective of ratio analysis? If you want to go for theory questions, then these questions become little important. The objective of ratio analysis to standardize financial information for comparison. Okay, so that we get a base, so that we can compare. Okay, I always talk about this. It ratio, the main purpose of ratio is to enable comparison. Absolute figures, absolute amount, they do not convey any meaning, right? So to compare, we need to make the base equal so that the comparison is possible. Evaluation of current operation, compare performance with the past performance. Okay, that what is our growth? If my profit percent was 20% 5 years ago, what is it now? So that I can compare whether my company is growing, whether my profit is growing or profit is not growing. Compare performance against other firms. Of course, I'll compare my performance with Reliance Industries. I'll not compare my performance with Ambuja Cement. No, I won't, because that company is not operating in my industry. If I want to see what is the performance of my company, for example, let's take an example. Due to Corona, due to Corona and COVID-19 situation, all the pharmaceutical companies, okay, they made huge profit. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, I'm not saying that, but they made huge profit because the demand of masks, the demand of sanitizers and medicines and everything, it increased, right? So if my company is also in pharmaceutical industry, then I'm going to compare the performance of my company with all other companies in the same industry, so that I know if I'm lagging behind or not. If I'm lagging behind, if my performance is not good, then I'll try to find out the reason. There is same industry here. Okay, market is same for everyone. Then why am I not able to earn as much profit as my competitor? So I'll study my competitor and I'll try to make amends and I'll try to improve my performance as well. Okay, so compare performance against other firms of same industry. Study the efficiency of operations. I'll study the efficiency of operations, whether my company is working efficiently or not. Now, if I talk about efficiency and what is the meaning of efficiency, then you have to understand efficiency means economy. It means that you are using minimum resources and getting maximum result. For example, if you have a bike or if you have a car, so and if you see the speedometer of the bike, okay, I can show you. Okay, this is what I want to show you. If you look closely, can I zoom in? Yes, I can zoom in. If you look closely, you see this is economy. Okay, that means if you are driving between 30 kilometers to 50 kilometers, that is the economy range. That is where you should drive. Okay, and other than that, the white portion, that is not economic. In that portion you're not being economic. Okay, and then in the red portion you are driving very dangerously. What does this mean? This means that if you drive in this range, you are being very efficient, that you are drawing the maximum resource, you are drawing the maximum benefit that you can draw from that resource. Okay, so this is what you identify. You identify the efficiency of the operation, if my company is operating good or bad. For example, if you're calculating cost of goods sold ratio, I'll talk about cost of goods sold ratio. The formula is cost of goods sold upon sales into 100. So what are we trying to calculate? We're trying to calculate that what percent of my sales is lost in cost. What does this mean? If you're selling goods for rupees 100, then 80 rupees is your cost. That is not good. You'll try to reduce the cost. You'll try as compared to 100, it should get 70. Then it should get 65. Then 63. Okay, because there's a very basic logic, and I think that we have talked about it before in the class. See, if profit is selling price minus cost price, this is profit. Now selling price is, okay, I'll just take in, let's just go in a little deeper. This is the formula. If you want to increase your profit, you have two options. First option is increase your selling price, and the second option is decrease your cost. But if you want to increase the profit, you have two options. Either you can increase your selling price or you can reduce your cost price. By increasing your selling price is not under your control. This is not under your control. Why? Because this depends on market forces. This depends upon the market forces. All right. So this is not under your control. If you increase your selling price, then your people might not demand your product and your demand might fall. So ultimately you lose some profit. The selling price is not under your control, but cost is under your control. Cost is 100% in your control. So every companies try to reduce the cost and they try to be more efficient. Okay. And then study the risk of operation and what is the risk that business is operating in. Ratio analysis can be of 5 types of ratios we are going to talk about. First is liquidity ratio or solvency ratio. The other name is solvency ratio. Investment or shareholder ratio. Now this was EPS and DPS and MPS and all those things. Now financial ratio and profitability ratio. Okay. So first, liquidity ratio. What is the meaning of liquidity? Liquidity means the ability of the firm to pay its way. For example, what is the amount of cash that the company has? Now this liquidity can be of two types: short-term liquidity and long-term liquidity. Short-term liquidity means, do I have some sufficient amount of resources to pay for my short-term liabilities? By short-term, I mean 1 year. Okay, that is short-term liquidity, and long-term liquidity means more than 1 year. Investment shareholder information to enable decision to be made on the extent of risk and earning potential of a business. By being an investor, being a shareholder, I am analyzing the companies to find out whether the company is performing well or not. Should I invest in that company or not? Third point is gearing. It's not that important from BBA perspective, but still we just want to know what it is. Information on the relationship between exposure of the business to loans as opposed to share capital. That means what is the gear in which my company is operating, which means what is the portion of outsiders loan in my company. Why do I want to calculate that? Because see, if a company, there are two companies and one company has a huge proportion of loan in their capital, that means they have to earn the minimum return increases because they have to earn for the interest payment on that loan. On the other hand, if there is a company and that company does not have loan obligations, then if the company is not making profit, it's going to be okay, right? But for interest, you have to make the payment of interest if you're making profit or not making profit. Okay, so we want to calculate what is the risk of the company. Okay, then profitability, how effective is the firm at generating sales, at generating profit. Financial, at the rate at which company sells its stock and efficiency with its use. Okay, now we'll talk in detail. First we'll talk about liquidity ratio. How solvent is the business? How solvent is the business? So there are two ratios that we calculate in liquidity ratio: acid test ratio and current ratio. We talked about this in the last class as well. I'm just going to give you a quick revision, and then we are going to move on to the next topic. Now, before acid test, we'll talk about current ratio. What is current ratio? That will the company have, or do the company have right now, do they have sufficient amount of current asset to repay their current liabilities? What are current liabilities? Liabilities that are supposed to be paid within 1 year. And what are current asset? The asset which are acquired. We're talking about current liability. I'm not going to go into detail. Ideal ratio is 2:1. If the company has 5:1, it is not good. That means you're not a good manager. You're not managing anything. You're just being very, very scared and secure, and you're keeping 5 times the amount that you need. That is not good. 2:1 is the ideal. That is what you should go for. That is what you should aim for. Okay, too high, okay, might suggest that too much of its assets are tied up in unproductive asset. For example, too much stock. Okay, okay, sir. Now, what is asset test ratio, also known as quick ratio or liquid ratio? It is current asset minus stock minus prepaid expense upon liabilities. 1:1 is the ideal ratio. Okay. Chaliye, moving on. Now we're going to talk about investment or shareholder ratio. Did we also talk about the turnover ratio in the last class? Let me just. No, no. Okay, great. Now, next is investment ratio. I want to talk about investment ratio later on. Gearing ratio also. Yes, okay. We can talk about profitability ratio. Okay, those topics are a little bit, you know, difficult. So we'll talk about them later on. First, let's talk about profitability ratio. Now, what is profitability ratio? I'll explain. Then we'll read this. First, I'll explain. Okay, so profitability ratio. Okay, now what is profitability ratio? Profitability ratio means if this is my P&L account, this is my trading and P&L account. Okay, and it's going to look something like this. This is how it's going to look like. It's going to be two opening stock, to purchase, to direct expense, to gross profit, and by sales, and by closing stock. Okay, now this amount is going to come over here. It's going to be by gross profit, and then all other expenses, for example, to transportation, okay, to salary, to depreciation, and all other expenses are going to be over here. Then it's going to be to net profit. Okay, like this is to net profit and to gross profit. Okay, right? So when I'm talking about profitability ratios, what am I going to do? I'm going to try to calculate the relationship between the various items that are given in my trading and P&L account. Okay, for example, I can try to compare between, let's say, uh, gross profit and sales. Okay, I want to calculate the ratio between gross profit and sales. I want to calculate the ratio between net profit and sales. These are all profitability ratios. I'm going to use various items of my trading and P&L account, and I will try to calculate the relationship between them. Why would I want to calculate? Because that is going to enable me to understand. I can predict. Okay, I can make a forecast. For example, if there is a company, okay, if there is a company and the net profit ratio of the company is net profit upon sales into 100 is, let's say, 15%. So what does this tell me? This tells me that if the company is making a sale of 100 rupees, they are earning 15 rupees. So I can predict in the future, if in the future company is going to make a sale of 10,000 rupees, right? So they'll make 1500 in profits. If the company can increase its sale to 2 lakh, then they'll make 30,000 in profit. Okay, are you getting what I'm saying? This is why I calculate all the ratios. All right, so profitability measures looks at how much profit the firm generates from sales or from its capital asset. Different measure of profit: gross profit and net profit. Gross profit, what is the formula for gross profit? So first we're going to talk about the gross profit ratio. First is gross profit ratio. Okay, the formula is uh, gross profit upon sales into 100. Gross profit upon sales into 100. Now what is gross profit? Gross profit is sales minus cost of goods sold. Sales minus cost of goods sold is my gross profit. Okay, okay. Second formula is cost of goods sold ratio. That is cost of goods sold upon sales into 100. Okay, now you can see that both these ratios, they are complementary to each other. Okay, both these ratios are complementary to each other. What does this mean? This means, yeah, so that this means that gross profit ratio plus cost of goods sold ratio will be equal to 100. Will always be equal to 100. Okay, clear? Okay, so this is the conclusion. This is what you have to keep in mind. All these formulas you have to understand. Okay, there's nothing that you have to learn. Everything you can understand. So just please, okay, pay attention to the understanding part as well. Don't just memorize the formula. You can also memorize the formula if you want, but that is not what I would want. So gross profit, the formula is gross profit upon turnover of sales into 100. Higher the better. Higher the better. Of course, when we are talking about gross profit ratio, it is always higher the better. Gross profit ratio, it is higher the better, right? If a company is selling for 100 rupees and they're making 50% profit, it is better. If there is another company that is selling for 100 and the gross profit ratio is 30%, then this company is better because they're making more profit. It's very easy. If I talk about cost of goods sold ratio, it is lower the better. By is lower the better, right? Because uh, cost and profit are directly complementary to each other. If cost is less, profit is going to be more. If cost is more, profit is going to be less. So this is lower the better. Okay. Next, net profit. Yes. So again, in the PPT, it doesn't have all the formulas that I want to talk about. So I'm going to talk about some other formulas, some more formulas as well. Okay. Now next we are going to talk about net profit ratio. Very easy. Net profit ratio is net profit upon sales into 100. This is net profit ratio. Okay, but there's nothing to explain. Net profit upon sales into 100. Where will you get net profit from? This is your net profit upon sales into 100. Okay, clear. So this was about this ratio. Now we can also calculate profitability ratio. From investors' perspective, what does this mean? But you're calculating sales and everything, it's so fine. But I am an investor. I've invested 1 lakh rupees in your company, and I want to calculate what is the return on my money. Are you getting? I am the investor and I'm investing in your company. I don't care about sales. I don't care about profits. I don't care about debtor or creditor. I don't know. I want to know that if I invested 1 lakh rupees, that what is the rate I'm going to earn on that 1 lakh rupees. Fair enough. So all these ratios that we're calculating, the cost of goods sold ratio and the gross profit ratio, these are basically for management. They want to know that what is the ratio of sales and how can they increase the ratio if we talk about gross profit, net profit. But as an investor, I'm going to find out what is the return that I'm getting. So for this, we calculate three ratios. And there's something like this. First is return on investment or return on capital employed. Okay, that whatever amount that we, the owner, have invested in the company, what is the return that we are getting on that investment? How do we calculate? It's the same formula that we have talked about all our life. It's nothing new, but the amount is the figure is going to change, of course, but the basic thing remains same. I'll give you an example. If you have invested, let's say 5,000 rupees in a bank, 6,000 rupees, there's six, na? 6,000 rupees in a bank, okay, for 1 year, and after 1 year you get 800 rupees as interest. You get 800 rupees in it. What is the rate of return? What is the rate that you're earning? How will you calculate? 800 divided by 6,000 into 100. But everybody is agreeing with me, right? Nobody is like, sir, no, I don't agree. Is there somebody who does not agree? This is 13.34%. This is your rate. Same formula. So what is the formula? If I put it over here, formula is denominator is amount invested and numerator is return on investment. Yeah, this amount. Clear? So bus, this is the formula. Formula is, now company can get the capital from two sources: internal source, external source. So internal source is shareholders fund, external source is debt. This means loan, right? And what is the return? Return is EBIT, earning before interest and tax. This is my formula. Yes. Please let me know if there is any problem now. No problems. This is my formula. It's very easy and very logical to remember as well. Okay, the same formula we are applying everywhere. Okay, this is the same formula that I applied when I was talking about cost of capital in that chapter. This is the formula I applied everywhere. Same formula. Okay, nothing new. This is the return on capital employed or investment or total investment. If I want to calculate the return on shareholder fund, if I want to calculate the return on shareholder fund, but I'm not talking about the debt. I'm just talking about what is the amount that I will get as the shareholder. I can be preference, I can be equity, both the shareholders. So in denominator, I will take the amount that is invested by the shareholder, that is shareholder fund. And in numerator, I will take profit after tax. Why have I taken profit after tax? It's very easy. See, I'll just show you the table. I think there was a table that I made. Okay, so this is the EBIT table that we've talked about. I'll just give you a quick revision. EBIT table. So we start with EBIT, then we deduct interest, and we get profit before tax. Okay. Then I deduct taxation from this amount, and I get profit after tax. Okay. Now this amount of profit is free profit. Okay. I've paid everyone. I've paid all outsiders. I've paid the government. I've paid the debentures and the loan and everything. This amount is available for the equity shareholder. This is the amount that is available for shareholder. Shareholder can be both equity and preference. Now I deduct preference dividend. Okay, I hope you all know this table. We have talked about this before as well. This is earning available for equity shareholder. Okay, so if I want to calculate the return on shareholders, I'll take this amount. If I want to calculate the return on equity shareholders, I'll take this amount. Makes sense? Makes sense, right? This is PAT upon shareholder fund. Okay. Third, if I want to calculate the return on on equity shareholder, then it would be earning available for equity shareholder upon equity shareholder fund. Okay, clear? Okay, so these are some formulas that we are going to calculate. Profit capital is profit upon capital employed into 100. Okay, next is we have the higher the better, of course. Financial ratio, asset turnover, stock turnover, debtor days. Okay, so I'm calculating financial ratio. In financial ratio, I'm going to talk about asset turnover ratio. Okay, so if I explain this in my own words, so the next formula that we're going to talk about, or the next concept that we're going to talk about, is turnover ratio. It is turnover ratio. Now you have to remember one thing. Okay, when we are calculating profitability ratio, if you ever forget what is the formula, I cannot recall. So you can remember this trick. This is a trick you can use to remember the formulas. What is profitability ratios? Profitability ratio, the answer would always be in percentage. P for profit, P for percentage. The answer is always going to be in percentage. That means that the numerator would always be less as compared to denominator. The numerator would always be less as compared to denominator. The answer is going in points. That is why I'm multiplying by 100 so that the answer doesn't remain in points and it's easy to compare. Okay. When I'm talking about turnover ratio, the answer would always be in times. That is guna. Kitna guna? 1 guna, 2 guna, 5 guna. That is times. So T for turnover, T for times. So times, when will I get the answer times? When my numerator is more than denominator. Okay, for example, if I divide 10 by 2, I'll get 5 times. So my numerator is more than the denominator. Okay, so whenever you forget the formula, so it is turnover. And when we're talking about turnover ratio, in 90% of the formulas, numerator is always sales or some other form of sales. Okay, now the first formula, the first ratio that we're going to talk about is stock turnover ratio. Stock turnover ratio. So it is a turnover ratio. So numerator would be sales, denominator would be stock. For stock, I take average stock. What is the meaning of average stock? Average stock means opening stock plus closing stock upon 2. This is my average stock. Okay, but I'm not going to use sales over here. Why? Because stock is an item of cost of goods sold. Stock is not related to sales. So stock is related to cost of goods sold. So I'll use cost of goods sold in this formula. So formula would be, this is the formula to calculate stock turnover ratio. Okay, this is what you were taught in class 12th. Now I'll tell you what does this formula signifies. What does this formula communicate? What is it trying to tell us? The formula is trying to tell us that if your cost of goods sold is 5 lakh and your average stock is 1 lakh, then answer is 5 times. This means that the amount of cost that you're incurring is 5 times of your stock. Okay, is 5 times of your stock. In other words, if I can use other words, I can also say that how much time is it taking to convert my stock. Okay, so I purchase raw material, I purchase stock, then I put some input and I pack them, I sell them, and I get the cash. And this cycle, how much time does it take to complete this cycle? This is what this is signifying. Okay. Second, if I talk about debtor turnover ratio, formula would be again sales upon average account receivable. Okay, same formula, same, the concept is same. The formula is debtor turnover ratio is sales upon average account receivable. But now sales include cash as well as credit sales. But I'll not take cash sales into account. Why not? Because debtors are not generated from cash sales. So therefore, we are going to use credit sales for calculation of debtor turnover ratio. Okay. Now, average account receivable. What is the meaning of account receivable? It means debtor as well as bills receivable. And average, same, opening plus closing upon 2. Okay. Now, what does this formula or this ratio signifies? This signifies that how much time does it take for me to realize cash from my debtor. I'll repeat myself. How much time does it take for me to convert my debtor into cash? Or what is the credit period that I'm allowing to my debtors? How much time does it take to realize money from the debtors? This is what this is signifying. Okay, let's say the answer is 2 times. Answer is 2 times. So this means that in an year of 12 months, you get money from debtors 2 times. That means every 6 months you're getting the money from your debtors. Okay, clear? If there is an extension of this formula, if I want to calculate debtor velocity, that is, what is the time interval in which my debtor is making the payment? The formula would be 12, 360 or 52 divided by debtor turnover ratio. Very easy, no? If the debtor turnover ratio is 2 times, that means you are receiving the amount from debtors twice in a year. Twice in a year. So this means that twice in a year, that means 12 upon 2. That means every 6 months you will receive the money. If I talk about days, 360 divided by 2. That means every 180 days you will receive the money. If I talk about weeks, then this would be 52 upon 2. That means every 21 week you are receiving the money from your debtor. Okay. Now I ask you a question. Higher the better, or or lower the better? What do you guys think? Higher the better or lower the better? Higher the better. The more it is, the better it is, because we want to realize the money from debtor as soon as possible. Right? Nobody wants to make credit sales, and if they've made credit sales, then they want to ensure that the money is going to be receivable as soon as possible. Okay, so if this ratio is higher, if this is not 2, if this is 12, this is 12, this means that I'm receiving the money every month. Okay, so 12 divided by 12, that is 1. So every 1 month I'm receiving the cash, and that is beneficial for the business. Okay, so the last ratio that we're going to talk about today is creditor turnover ratio. That is creditor turnover ratio. Now, what is the meaning of creditor turnover ratio? The formula is purchase. But I'm not going to use sales over here. Why? Because when I'm making the sales, creditors do not arise. Creditors arise when I'm purchasing goods on credit. So I'm going to use purchase. Makes sense. Purchase upon same average account payable. Purchase upon average account payable. All right. Okay, sir. Now this purchase can also be of two types: cash and credit. I'll not take cash purchase into account. Why? Because creditors do not arise in case of cash purchase. So I'll not not take cash purchase into account. So I'll only take credit purchase. I'll only take credit purchase. Okay. What does this signify? This means that what is the amount or what is the credit term that is extended by my creditors to me. Okay. How much time do they allow me to make their payment? Then if I calculate creditors velocity, the formula would be the same 12, 360, 52 divided by creditor turnover ratio. Okay, clear? No, asset turnover ratio, sales upon asset employed. In stock turnover ratio, cost of goods sold upon stock expressed as time in the year. Now stock is always changing. Similarly, debtor, they keep on changing. Creditor, they keep on changing, right? So we don't know the exact amount. That is why we're taking the average. Okay, and the change is happening on a daily basis. So we don't know how to calculate the average. So we are taking, okay, it's fine. You calculate the opening and the closing and take the average. It's fine. Okay, higher turnover ratio means increased efficiency. The better, it is good. Depending on the type of business, supermarket might have high stock turnover ratio, whereas shop selling high value musical instrument might have a low stock turnover ratio. That means, for example, if you're selling Lamborghini, so it's not going to happen that you're going to sell Lamborghini like somebody is selling milk, right? And that is why the profit margin on Lamborghini is more as compared to milk. Okay, it makes sense, right? Now, if I talk about debtor days, so debtor upon turnover into 365. Before looking at the ratios, there are a number of cautionary points that you need to be identified. So you need to take care of all these points before calculating any ratio. First is the dates and duration of financial statement being compared should be the same. Of course, if you're comparing the ratio of this year, then both the financial statement should be of this year. Okay, the accounts should be compared, should have been prepared on the same base. Of course, the base would have been same. That is clear. In order to judge the overall performance of the firm, a group of ratios as opposed to one ratio should be used. Of course, you're not going to use one ratio, but you're going to use a group of ratio to identify or to calculate the best of your ability the performance of the company. Next, important notes: liabilities have credit balance, asset have debit balance. Current liabilities are those which have become due for payment or shall fall due for payment within 12 months from the date of balance sheet. Current assets are those which undergo change in their shape or form within 12 months. Okay, they are also called working capital or gross working capital. Net worth and long-term liabilities are also called long-term source of funds. Current liability, short-term, short-term. This is like normal, very easy. You can read all this. Is any problem? You can ask me. Now, this is a question that we have. So I will start solving the question in the next class. I also have a lot of other questions as well, which we'll solve. But I think there are few ratios that are remaining that we have to talk about. This doesn't have investment ratio, so I'll talk about investment ratio as well, or maybe leave. Yes, investment ratio. Okay, yes, it is over here. Investment ratio. Okay, so I'll talk about this investment ratio in the next class.